Hello you what's his faces, welcome back to a new video. Tigon here, and in today's video we're going to be going ahead and ranking all the snipers after the nerf. That's including the regular bolt actions, the marksman rifles, and the semi-automatics. Now this is going to be one of the saddest ranking videos due to the nerf, but hopefully you guys enjoy and you learn something from it. Let's get into it. Before we begin, keep in mind that this is simply my opinion from hours of rank grinding and testing. With this ranking video, we'll be going from the worst to the best snipers. So starting with the semi-auto snipers, not including the Arctic, these disappointments are not worth your time in any other place but Battle Royale or maybe grinding for Damascus. But you asked for it in my last video, so ranking them, we actually have the XPR coming in dead last. Now, while it does have the ability to one-shot upper chest level, it's less consistent than the Outlaw, and the attachments that allow it to do so slow down the ADS and the fire rate to where the M2v1 Ebr would simply be the better option, especially in Battle Royale, where in some cases the M2v1 Ebr could be considered the best sniper for BR due to its fast fire rate. With that being said, for 8th place we have the XPR, and for 7th, you guessed it, is the M2v1 Ebr. It's slightly better than the XPR, but nowhere near enough to get itself out of 7th place. In multiplayer, there's just no reason to use either of these weapons due to the bolt actions as well as the introduction of marksman rifles. Next up, this weapon went through heavy nerfs to get this way, but now it's barely usable and equivalent to a secondary. We have the NA45. Due to the ADS speed, fire rate, movement, ammo capacity, damage, and the blank scope nerfs, the NA is a shell of its former self, no truly better than an XPR or M2v1 Ebr, but still can be a pain to go up against if the opponent camps well enough. This leaves the NA45 in 6th place. Now coming up, we have the SKS. Overall, it's a very high skill level weapon to use, but with very little reward. Now while it can two-shot as well as one-shot in the head, even with great aim, it's not very consistent, and guns like the Kar98K and the SPR perform way better overall. Now you could perhaps put a scope on it, but it then is just a slightly better M2v1 Ebr. Overall, it just can't compete. Now, one potential strength it could have had is the ability to spam into a crowd, but the ammo capacity is not large enough. For the average kill, this weapon will need at least 3 shots to take out skilled players. And with the high movement speed and time to kill of this current SMG meta, the SKS just doesn't cut it. Now coming in 4th place, we have the once great 𝓢𝓮𝓽𝓽𝓲𝓪𝓵, now barely better than the semi-automatics. It pretty much has the same damage to the DL-Q33 with stopping power, but way slower. And without it, it's still very slow, but less damage. It's just a worse weapon overall. But it still has decent movement, but that's not enough to make it worth picking up. There's plenty of other weapons that you could go ahead and choose. They nerfed the 𝓢𝓮𝓽𝓽𝓲𝓪𝓵 into the ground, and now it's just barely usable, so let's get on to the next one. This next weapon has had a lot of good reception after the nerf, that being the SPR, proudly claiming 3rd place, and it all around is a pretty good weapon. Now while it has a slow fire rate, it's very reliable, especially with the class I'm using in this video, and it works well at any range. I would say it's the marksman equivalent of the 𝓢𝓮𝓽𝓽𝓲𝓪𝓵, but it does feel more reliable and also has way faster movement. Now 2nd place is a doozy. I kinda have it as a convoluted 3-way tie that would go in order of the DL-Q33, the Arctic 50, and the Kilo Bolt being the best of all 3. Just needs a very high skill level player. I was even considering ranking it with the Outlaw, as you guys have already guessed is 1st. However, the DL-Q33's consistency cannot be overlooked, it being reliable in every situation with a good ADS speed, all things considered, because you know, the nerf and all. But it still has good movement and good damage, you really can't go wrong with it. The Arctic 50 without stopping power actually replaces the 𝓢𝓮𝓽𝓽𝓲𝓪𝓵 with movement and fire rate. However, the slow ADS is definitely a drawback to it, but still I would mark it or rank it with these other weapons, keeping it nicely in 2nd. And now the Kilo. The one I would have potentially ranked above all of the others, is good at every range with a fast fire rate as well as good damage and amazing movement. Its only drawback is its no scope, which means getting people long range is way harder, and going up against a sniper will end in a loss more times than not because of the scope. And putting a scope on the Kilo would limit its usefulness, still keeping it tied for 2nd. Now last but not least, simply winner by default from the last ranking is the Outlaw. The movement speed as well as the ADS annihilates every other sniper and marksman rifle, and if you truly want a quickscope, this is the weapon for you. But yeah, throughout these upcoming weeks, I will be making brand new class setup videos for every one of the marksman and bolt action snipers, so stay tuned for that. But with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and adios.